Good morning on this beautiful April morning in upstate South Carolina. Let's take a look at what all has happened in April in the garden. Let's head into the kitchen garden. It's on the east side of the house. It's an overcast day, so you can't really tell. But in the mornings, it's mostly shaded. Sunshine reaches this area about 11, 12, 1, depending on the section you're in. I've got some Mexican petunias coming up right here. Love that. Coming in the gate, you notice there is an archway here, a trellis, a cattle panel trellis. Normally on this side I will have morning glories, a beautiful purple color I haven't seen come back yet, and Cucamelons, which is like the vine here. I know for sure this is Cucamelon. I can see the tendrils on it. I started some from seed this year in case I didn't have any come back naturally, and you can see here that this is kind of oak leaf shaped, and this is very similar. This more heart shape over here, I think it's morning glory, but I'm not positive. I do know for sure this is Cucamelon. I started that from seed because that'll be a little faster than waiting on returns, right? Reseeded themselves from last year. But nonetheless, got a few irises behind the panel here that have not bloomed this year. Probably don't get enough sun, but we'll see. And then right here, this plant is what we call an Easter rose. It's returning prior to me setting up the garden as it is now. I had a very large one here, which we moved to the back. And it can get very large, but I'm hoping it'll be contained in here. Since it would be my earliest bloomer on this side, I've decided to leave it. If I look down what you've heard me refer to as my hospital bed, where I throw stuff till I can decide where to put it, I do have some lamb's ear here that I'm planning on keeping. And then all this is a form of a clover. It's not open this morning only because the sun hasn't come out yet. It is now the sun's out enough for them to open up. See how pretty? But there is too much of it here. So I take from here to put it wherever I really want it. On the other side of the gate, you can see that this lamb's ear is just outright taken over. So that's been plentiful. And then this is a Autumn Joy sedum from a friend of mine, Rhonda. And what do I have here in this first bed? I have a couple of cayennes and cups right here that I plan on taking over to my mom's house and helping them get started with some cayenne peppers. Richard loves them. This is dark opal basil I have put in from seeds that I started inside. Hope it'll get a good start. 2 cayenne peppers of my own. Remember we talked about when I was planting out the seeds, I started in a 6 cell pack and put seeds in the 4 corners and 1 in the center. So I typically start with about 5 seeds per 6 cell pack, which is tiny. And then I do enjoy planting out into styrofoam cups. And you can see the top of a styrofoam cup here. This is the bottom that I literally just put my nail in all the way around, pulled it off, and planted it into the bed. And I like that method for several reasons. One is, you see the name here. It's already properly labeled. And that's a label that I don't lose versus, a plastic label, whether it's from a store or one that I make myself, they tend to get misplaced. And I really want to keep up with the varieties this year. The cup serves as some protection for the little plants so that roly-polies or whatever might come and chew on it while it's so little, that maybe that will put those at bay. And then I still have some height in here if I wanted to add some more dirt. I can see a few little roots here. So just soil health, holding fertilizers if I decide to use that. Between here, this is a pineapple sage that I bought at the flea market last weekend, and I'm looking for that perennial beautiful flower to get started and stay in my beds. My beds now, this is in this particular garden, it's 3rd season, so I'm hoping I won't have to add quite as much compost and fillers each year, so that when things that are capable of reseeding decide to reseed, I won't be covering that up too deeply with more compost because my bed is shrinking so much. But because I use wood chips, and you can see wood chips inside the blocks here, some look old and some look relatively new. It's because they are. They deteriorate down and compost down so well. The height just changes drastically each season, and so I'm hoping that this being the third season, that's going to slow down some. This is my ginger that I started from the Indian grocery store, and I just got it planted out, so it's looking great. This will be turmeric. I did not have any luck starting turmeric from the grocery store, so I ended up purchasing some from a local grower that has not popped up yet. I thought I saw this green back here, but I don't think that's turmeric. That's something else popping up. All right, I've got here lemon basil that I started from seed, and it's getting going. Brought it from the inside. And then a couple more peppers. You see that I tend to plant out peppers in twos. And I put them relatively close together. There's a saying that peppers like to hold hands. They do better that way. This is either a garlic or an onion leftover from last season. I suspect a garlic because onions have pretty much started blooming by now. Here is a lemon thyme that I purchased at the flea market, and I want to get it growing in the block here. Lemon basil back here, lemon thyme here. You see the theme. And this is some variegated sage that overwintered in the bed, and it's looking beautiful now, growing nicely. Roman chamomile that I started from seed inside and have planted those out, should be perennial. Here's a little bell pepper that I haven't planted in the ground yet because it just sprouted out. My daughter spread it out from a bell pepper in her kitchen. Brought it over and said plant it, but it hasn't been hardened. So I've set it kind of here in the shade of the Carolina jasmine, which is on the fence, and I do fight it back. I don't want it in my garden bed, but I appreciate its little wall of shade right here for when I can use it for that purpose. And I'm thinking that I could share it with people for sure. Put pots on maybe the other side of the fence and put vine tips or pieces of vine in it without clipping it away. Let it grow roots and then clip it away. So keep that in mind. If anybody's looking for some Carolina jasmine, I will try to do some of that, or flat out pull you up some because I've got plenty. On this side, here's what I was talking about. Any onions are biennials. Excuse the pink flamingo. You know, my grandchildren play out here. And here's the choo-choo train. But biennials, so second year onions are trying to bloom right now. And they will get a beautiful white seed head on them. And I'm looking I had purchased some little mesh bags to put over them so that I could more easily collect the seed. This is Russian tarragon. Again, I now know that French tarragon is the better one to cook with, so I'm not sure I'm gonna baby this at all. If it survives, it'll survive on its own. I have a leftover Feverfew. There was a tag of not very good condition in there, but at first when I looked at this, I thought it was parsley, but thank goodness the tag was there and it said Feverfew, so it's come back from last year. Here's my holy basil, which is supposedly the best basil specifically for teas. Trying to get that started. I started it inside, so now here it is out here. Let's see if we can survive. This is where I put my parsley beginnings. Again, came from little pieces in the 6-cell tray and then planted out in the garden. Stinging nettle back here, started from seed. This is my little Greek oregano patch, and it does fantastically. Last year I got an entire laundry basket harvested, and you can see here that I will have another laundry basket. It did not rebound within the same season last year and be beautiful again like this, but it came back this year beautiful like this. So again, I'll see how it does this year. Every year that it's older, it should be better. I had one comfrey that came up from seed for me in the winter, and I planted it here. Several toothache plants here. And that's literally toothache plants. You chew on those for toothaches, or you can make a mouth spray out of it. Black Beauty eggplants, there are 2 that I've planted out. This sage was looking very pitiful over the winter. I wasn't sure that it was going to do well, but it has survived, and I relocated it. Oh gosh, it smells so good. This is the area back here where my son and I have been battling a groundhog. He was coming through trying to go, I think, from one yard to the next, and this was his passage point that he kept digging down in the back of my garden here into a little burrow and going out the other side. And we have put some chicken wire here unlaid flat in this section. I hope it's working. I'm afraid to say that out loud, but I hope that it's working because he was ruining the stuff on the backside here. This is a lamb's ear. Oh my goodness. I am not kidding when I say last year this was a tiny, tiny, tiny little piece, maybe the size of 2 of these leaves, and this year this is what has happened. And it is so prolific. I'm really not wanting it in my raised bed, but I also don't want to kill it. I will wait until, I don't know, it'll live here this year, and then I will try to divide it up over the winter and find a better home for it. I have some lavenders on this side of the garden. These are true lavender. This is what it looked like in the winter, and I was afraid it was possibly dead, but it is not. You can see how much bigger and beautiful. Looks like I'm gonna have blooms this time. I started these from seed, not this year, but last year. And so they were little tiny in the garden and did not bloom last year. And they are also inside the blocks from here all the way down. Supposedly lavender likes it dry, and I'm trying things inside the blocks that I have heard are drought tolerant. I believe, let's see, I don't want to say, I don't have this labeled, I forgot to. I believe it's bee balm, but I will take a look at that. It's returning from last year. This is German chamomile. You saw Roman chamomile up there earlier. German chamomile is much taller, but it's an annual plant. And I did start these from seed. I've got more of them. Chicory back here, I started from seed as well. I love it. It's a beautiful blue flower. Looking forward to you seeing that. And some more feverfew on the back. Again, a herb for, like it says, fevers. My rosemary, Mother Nature outside. This is where it does the best. Tried inside. Oh my gosh, we need smell-o-vision on here because it smells fantastic. It has come back beautifully, and it stayed evergreen all winter. It was just kind of puny looking. All right, more autumn joy sedum from my friend Rhonda. Beautiful. You turn around here, you can see I've got buckets and containers to collect rainwater. I've got a grill back here, got some irises of all kinds. This row of irises is all this beautiful velvety, let's see if I can find a pretty one, velvety purple. So gorgeous, like it's just plush look. It looks like a velvet fabric. Absolutely beautiful. I was trying this year to really make good note of all my different colors. Kind of monochromatic is the appeal that I like. Here is some more lavender in the blocks. On this section is Munstead, trying to separate the varieties, and this section over here was called True Lavender. More irises here. I believe when they bloomed they were white, and another row of the velvety purple here. This is the bed that I had tried cover crops in. I don't know if I liked it or not. I liked it at the time. When I flipped it all over, it's just more difficult to plant in. Like this is, well, it's feeling better now. I might like it better. I'm still trying to decide, did I like that method of cover crops well enough to continue it? Have not planted much in here. Here's what I was talking about when the onion blooms. Oops. When the onion blooms, isn't that absolutely beautiful? So it's blooming. Need to find my little nylon bags to put over it. Isn't it interesting that the stem here is hollow, and yet this is obviously still alive? I thought I had broken it off in some way, but nonetheless want to harvest those onion seeds so I don't have to keep buying seeds, and I'm ready to plant out in here. I do have one husk cherry, pineapple husk cherry, I believe, at the very end, and you see the white, let's see the white cup back here on the trellis. But I haven't planted anything other than that. More autumn joy sedum in the corner here. Daylilies on the end. I have elephant garlic all down the center that is from last year. So as it starts dying back, I will be pulling that up to check its condition, separate it out, see if I can multiply it, and decide if it's good eating this year or not, since I did not harvest it. Like I said, by the grill here, more irises. They did bloom. I'm not remembering the color right now, but I hope I took pictures. Daffodils here dying back, but they did not bloom. I'm thinking they do not get enough sun back here. This is my lemon balm patch. Again, if I go for a sniff, let me rub and sniff. Oh, smells so good. And plenty of seeds still left on. I just let them stay in place, reseed themselves here. I literally do nothing. I have not put my lemongrass. Normally I put it in the corner back here. I mulched higher this year to see if I would get any to survive in place, and it did not. More irises, variegated liriape, a lamb's ear in ground. You see it did not take over. It was about that size last year. Still the same size, but that little pink clover is kind of holding it in. Clover's more powerful than I thought it was going to be. To finish out this bed, again, I haven't planted on the trellises yet, but I had the elephant garlic on this half, and on this half I have the Egyptian walking onions. I'm excited about that. This will be my first year with them, and they supposedly will develop their onions on the top of these. Can't see anything really developing that way yet, but we'll keep our eyes on that, and they get heavy enough to fall over and replant themselves and, quote, walk through your garden wherever they want. These are a couple of husk cherries, Aunt Molly's husk cherries. That's a giant red mustard between them that's just left over from last year. And you see these little tomatoes volunteering. I have not planted tomatoes over here. These are volunteering from last year. And what do I have here? Oh, pink tongue eggplants. So again, on the labels, if I get down here, I like the styrofoam cup because there it is, pink tongue eggplant, versus this one has a little handwritten label that will probably get knocked off. And my irrigation, I got that all put back out yesterday. A little bit of purple heart here in the corner, and here's a great place to demonstrate like how much this is sunken down. It was at the very top, and yet it's almost a hand length sunken down in the corner here. If, you know, I had raised the level with everything like I did in the center, would it have been able to fight through that much or not? Now, purple heart might, but little seeds and stuff reseeding themselves, not so much. Okay, so does that get everything out here pretty much? I believe it does. So I've got I call this bed number 1, bed number 2, bed number 3 against the fence, 4 across the front, 5 is like my little hospital bed, and then I call the back strip back there where the grill is back there across the cattle panel. That would be number 6. And then if I look from here down into the backyard, I have an interesting situation right here. This Althea or Rosa Sharon, this one's fine, but this big huge one that I've had for years, completely dead. I'm gonna need to hire somebody with a chainsaw locally to come and just cut dead pieces out of trees and cut down small dead trees like this. And then this eventually, this strip eventually here to the back is my planned in-ground garden when I get that in good condition. Right now this will be its year 1 being mulched. Whether or not I'll get to plant anything between the kitchen garden and way down there where the kids' swing set is, or the goat barn back there, we'll see. Different look out from the outside on this end of the yellow jasmine. You can see how it spreads easily. It's vine here, and so this is what I meant by it falls down and re-roots itself. So if I line this strip down through here with some pots with dirt in it, I think I'll be able to root some, move it different places. I've been trying to kill off the ivy for several years. Here I got a little coming in, and then poison oak over here I can see. I am blessed not to be allergic to that. I pull it up by my hands and don't have any trouble, thank you Lord. onions here. I don't know if I spilled some seeds because it's like just a clump of onions, but obviously in their second season because they too are trying to flower. Oh, where my grandchildren have run over here. These are 4 o'clocks that came from my daughter's grandmother's house, and we want to be very careful not to smash those out. Her father's been passed away for several years now, and he brought these 4 o'clocks over here from his mother's yard years ago, and they come back every year, reseed themselves, so those types of things are precious to us. Okay, in the front here, let's walk up and take a look at the front bed. You see I've got bags of coffee sitting around. We pick up coffee grounds to fertilize everything. And across the front, all the rhyopes coming out nice and pretty here. The Stella de Oro daylilies are coming out. The little elephant ears back here. Almost everything in this bed except the strawberries came from my friend Bonnie from church. Had such a naked yard to start over. I believe it was last year. So all this stuff is really just in its second season and doing great. I did purchase these blueberries. I originally had 5, 3 have survived. And again, our plants, we put coffee around them, try to fertilize better. Stella de Oro here. And look at the strawberries just taking over. I am using strawberries as a ground cover. I got a little buttload of strawberry plants from a gentleman off of Marketplace last year, and I misunderstood. See how little they are? That's our fault for not clipping any of these runners. All these babies that come off of them, you can repot those, but they'll replant themselves. And if you don't keep a mother plant and you leave them connected, all the babies are sucking energy off that, so it just produces little tiny strawberries instead of isolating it to bigger strawberries. These irises are absolutely beautiful. Again, I'm trying to pay attention to separating by color, and yet I had a couple, I'll have to look back in my pictures, I took pictures, that are a different color in here. They've already came and gone. I'll trace them down to the bottom. They were a kind of pink and lavender, whereas these were a pristine white on the top for a while, but as they're fading back here, that white is getting a little more lavenderish. But I have a couple of brassicas in this weird, never planted a brassica in this bed. Where those seeds blew from, who knows, but they are just planted themselves here. They are also going to flower, so there will be more. And honestly, what we do is taste the leaves, see if it's something that we like, try to identify it, but one way or another, do we like it or not, and go from there. A whole row of potatoes back here. So we, last year for the first time, planted potatoes all the way down, all the way to those pine trees down there that you see almost. Those are all potatoes. That is the vegetable that we eat the most of. And we're trying to grow our own. This is a larger daylily here coming through. I also have a couple of volunteer beans, because after we harvest the potatoes, there's a bean, and here's a bean that's actually flowering. After we harvested potatoes last year, we came back in on that back section there with beans, and then from that end of the steps, not right here in front of the front porch, but from that end of the steps all the way down to the pine trees, we planted corn and beans, thinking that whether or not we got a good harvest, we would at least have fall decor. All right. Notice there's a dandelion here that I have allowed to stay, and I do, depending on where they are. Here is an onion that is flowering. More purple heart from Bonnie. Another Stella de Oro from Bonnie. Another one here. Beautiful. And I appreciate that so much. I used to have, under this little basket, there's a woods violet. These are volunteer and wild here. And they were all over my yard, but this is the only one I saw this spring. And because it is right here at the steps, I did not want my grandchildren to trample it. While daffodils were blooming in February and March, I separated them out by color. Mostly what I have is yet bright yellow on yellow, but any different colors, I moved over to this side to try to, again, isolate those colors. This is grape hyacinths. This not so happy is one Texas bluebonnet. The baskets, when I transplant things into my flower beds and they're babies, I tend to protect them or try to protect them with these little baskets because my grandchildren play out there. So again, Liriope, variegated Liriope, kind of as an edge all the way down. Stella de Oros, which I love. You can see they're beautiful daylily blooms here. I have a few of those from Bonnie. My mother also says she's ready for hers to be divided. And then our potato all the way down, potatoes. Okay. A couple of things that I started this year by seed were artichokes. So I think I've got 6 of those. Most are not looking that well. And then I purchased from the flea market some Spanish lavender. I had read on my Facebook gardening group that the Spanish lavender does real good here. When this was all leaves, I was thinking that it was daylily, and it's not. It's spiderwort from my friend Peggy, but I pulled those out of the hospital bed thinking that it was a continuation of my daylilies. So for this year, it's going to be there, then I'll probably move it. This is a citramelo citrus tree that is cold hardy here. I planted it before this past winter, gave it no attention. It is still living. It does have thorns, so we try to be careful about that. Citrus typically will have thorns like that, and that's painful for little hands. And I have one more blueberry down here. When I was buying the citramella from a lady off the marketplace, this was a blueberry variety that I did not have, and she had, so I bought it, put it there, if we can say that. Ochalochney, again, was planted before winter, at the beginning of winter. I have 5 purchased John Jay raspberry plants. Only 2 are doing well, so I'll probably be contacting Burpee and getting the other 3 replaced. And this funny, I did do quite a bit of kitchen composting out here over the winter. Come out, dig a hole, dump it in, and this looks like a squash or a melon of some sort, and we have never planted anything like that anywhere near this, so we're thinking that's some kitchen scrap, but we're going to let it go. And you see kind of a trench here. We had my daughter-in-law had another bag of potatoes from the kitchen that she said was sprouting and she didn't want to cook with them, so we slapped those in the ground even though it's late. We have a wonderfully long growing season here, so that will be fine. You come back over before I go to the back. This is what I call my oak tree garden. It is the one garden that I have that is completely shaded, always shaded. And I've had many people share plants with me over the years, and I tried to transplant as many of them as I could here before my construction project. These azaleas are just old, and you see there is some dead that needs to be trimmed out of them. We'll get to that. Individual trimming. It's more important to me in the spring to keep up with weeding. Get it while it's little and it won't be so hard for you. But in this bed we've got, I've never seen this bloom. It says light blue rock iris. Again, got free from a friend. Got some trash that I need to pick up. Looks like from some cardboard, or it blew off the highway. But we're constantly doing that. Lamb's ear, you see, is not quite as invasive or taking over here in the shade. Hosta, this is a great bed for hosta. Yarrow, this is white yarrow. That's the nature's band-aid you hear people talk about. More yarrow. Another dandelion. I don't care if it blooms and spreads in this area. See, this is where I moved the hellebores that Peggy had given me. So they're beautiful, beautiful hellebores. I can't name everything out here. This, I think, is a rose campion. See, that's a different, thinner leaf than the lamb's ear. Another hellebore. Trying some irises. Now, irises do not like to be planted deeply. These are yellow around this tree, and you can even see the tubers just laying kind of on top of the ground. Now, I will cover those just slightly, like ½ inch or so over the summer, but because this is a hill and it washes, You'll see on the top side here, we were draining down the hill, got some plastic that's flown in from somebody off the highway. I will pick that up. But this is kind of self-mulching on the top side of the hill, but then it washes away as it comes down the hill. So you have to learn to work with Mother Nature. She will win every time. Got a couple of mints here in containers. This looks pitiful. If you look back into the winter, it looks totally dead, and it's already beautiful. Peppermint, yes, smells great. And apple mint also looks and smells great. They are prospering here in the shade. Again, South Carolina, so it's terribly hot. And I'll be thinking about where to put all of my containers of mint and how to manage some of this. Again, more irises. I seem to have plenty of that. Here is some mimosa that you may or may not see in your area. I'll wait until it blooms. Mimosa here. It's considered pretty much a trash tree or weed tree here, but I've read that it makes a fantastic tea for anxiety purposes. So I'm going to help my friends in that way. A very beautiful light lavender. Don't remember what colors these were. They've already bloomed and gone. These irises, more irises. Now I'm excited that my beautiful daisies, these will be fabulous, beautiful daisies that I got from my friend Amy. Her mother, we call her Mommer, had tons of them at one time, and I dug them up from their house. See, I've got some weeds, grass weeds, if you can see them. They drive me crazy. When I see these little seed heads, I panic, and I try to pull them and get them out. But if you pull a little bit all the time, it won't be as overwhelming. This is a different variety. I believe these are called Japanese irises. You can see the fronds look more like grass or daylilies, and the blooms are very small and have a different stand-up shape. But I will be, I come into gardens like this, move things around and divide them. Before you know it, I've got a ton of things. This is red hot poker plant. Got a couple more over there that I believe were solid red, and somewhere I have one that was solid yellow. I'm gonna find that one this year too. Some few little elephant ears popping up already back there, and then this row of rows of Sharon. It is so easy to root, and it usually drops up babies everywhere. My intention is to pull them and create myself a little fence between me and the highway here for a little more noise protection. I believe this is called a Juga. I love this color, dark, and I will move those around as they pop up everywhere. My peony was planted at the front of my house before. I had a couple actually. My construction project, I wasn't aware that I had any that survived, but evidently I had moved this one up on the hill, and it is in the ends of its blooming. Normally they are really bad to get ants, but I haven't noticed any ants on this one yet, so that's good. Daffodils again have already come and gone, or come and stopped blooming, you can see, but the greens, we allow them to die back naturally, so they feed the bulbs in the ground, and we'll have even more next year. Here is a rose campion that is putting up for its flowers. It flowers for a very long time here. All summer, a beautiful pink. Like that. I have a little cedar tree. Again, I have to decide, am I keeping it or not? I probably will. Again, trying to protect ourselves. I've got several little trees I've let get started instead of yanking them all out as, a break between your residence and your highway that you live on. So the front is all highway. I've allowed this little tree here to get a good start too, right? Let me walk back this way. I skipped over a little orchard area. So headed back this way, this is the shade. This is the full sun because the front of our home is facing south. If the sun were out there it would be. Today it's behind clouds, so that's okay with me. Again, I'm using strawberries as a ground cover. It's just going wild. I have way less weeds, although I do march in there and pull weeds out, especially if I see grass. Hate grass. I hate grass. I hate grass. Okay, daffodils bloomed and gone. These were they were a white-ish cream color with very multiple layers in the bloom. Always got grandma's tree swing, gotta have that. All right, figs come back nicely. This is the one that gets the most shade. We'll see how that goes. A very light lavender here on the iris. Daylilies up here haven't bloomed yet, so I'm not sure what color that is. But the daylilies I've used all the way down to hold this hill, to keep the hill from washing away. This will be my future permanent driveway. Haven't gotten that far yet. These daylilies are referred to in the South as ditch lilies because they're a basic orange that just grows wild everywhere. And I have dug those up over and over and moved them to this hill, of which I will divide them again for the gaps. I have some gaps here, and I want that to really not allow my orchard, which is a different elevation, right? Drive is here, elevation up for the orchard area, to not wash away. Another fig. I have several different varieties of fig that I hope will do well here. To my surprise, as I move out to more and more and more sun, everyone is a different variety, but is it the variety or is it the sun? I would think the ones in the sun would be much larger, but we'll see by the end of the season. This looks like some kind of chrysanthemum coming back. I tend to leave all the dead blooms and such, not only for the critters, but so I'll know where things are in my garden. I have several varieties that people have given me of canna lilies. This is the trash or the leftovers from last year. They don't look so good, but I'll leave them all winter. Again, if I forget about it, then we'll step on it. We'll harden the soil there. We'll possibly plant something on top of it. Not good. Okay. So again, you see a row of daylilies, strawberries doing whatever they want to, canna lilies in different places for different varieties, all the way down. A whole row of figs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe I have down through here. And also some fruit trees, okay? So this is Feverfew. So you see around the bottom of any fruit tree, I'm going for what they call a fruit guild. So I'll put a ring, and I don't intend for the ring to be flat like this one. This is not a good example. Should be more donut shaped so that it's like a little well closest to here. And these sprouts at the bottom need to be all trimmed off. They haven't been trimmed again. And then you plant things around it. Here's some Feverfew. Here is some, what does that say? Comfrey, mullein. Those deep-rooted things are good. Here is a blackberry. Blackberries fruit on second year canes. So where I see the fruit here, I'll know this is going to be a second year cane that after it produces this year at the end of the season, I can prune those off. The ones that do not have fruit or that look totally new for this year, they will not get any fruit for this year, but they will give me fruit next year. So that's quite a lot to keep up with. Then I've got 3 apple trees. 1, 2, 3. Some things, trash at the street for the city to pick up today. More Mexican petunias. This is what I'm talking about. I leave the trash so I can see where the plants are coming back out, and I'll clean that up as we get further in the season. More irises, some leftover azaleas before my construction project. This was all shaded because my whole entire property was pretty much trees and shade. We're past that. All right. So I do have some azaleas left here. Mini irises, because my azaleas, the way it was before, I had kind of rows of azaleas and then irises and other things between them. This is a different variety of canna. I love this variegated leaf. If I remember correctly, this one blooms orange, but I'm not positive. Another fig, okay? Another fruit tree. So I've got 2 plums, 2 pears, 2 peaches, I believe, up here. So here we are, irises, dark purple on bottom, lighter on top. And this is even more of that, dark on the bottom, light on the top. This is like a solid lavender. And this is more dark on dark. It's just fading. And look at those yellow throats in there. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you look down, Got some lamb's ear coming in here. So in the layers, you've got lamb's ear, you had daffodils, you've got irises, and then you've got azaleas. But that's a very shady arrangement that had been here before, and I'm working with it because I do like layers, and I will continue to work with that. I think I have some more daisies over here too. Another fig. These strawberries, I guess they're reaching, but they are beautiful and big plants. And then there is a patch of the white daisies that I'll be dividing up to move. I see I have a few of those little Japanese iris here too. So I do like the layering combination. I sit on my porch over there and look to see how I see the colors from the porch looking out, because the gardens are more for me and my family than they are for the people going down the highway. So I want the best view from the porch, not the best view from the highway. I do have one little bed in here too that has not been weeded at all this year, and I need to get with that. It's a little triangle right here between the business and my yard, and you can see I'm trying to use daylilies. I had tried over the years to use monkey grass or mondu grass, and it just wasn't big enough to hold the hill. It kept washing out, that the water comes off the highway and flows right through here. So the daylilies are doing a much better job. I know that's a bigger plant with a bigger root system, and lots of weeds. Yuck. I love these lilies. My friend Sandy Hammett gave me those. I have quite a few around that have not bloomed yet, but right here in the full sun, these are blooming. The roses Sharon here you see can grow into basically a tree. See how thick that is. And again, they put off lots of babies. Let me look under here. See, this is one I could pull up and put anywhere I wanted to fill in my sections. Here's another lily from Sandy. Again, this area has not been weeded. But I'll move on down to my Pool Hill garden. My granddaughters were here this past weekend, and so they guilted their dad into getting started on cleaning up the pool down there. Water level is down. All right, Pool Hill garden, here we are. Looking good, looking good. I'm walking down the hill, so I'm trying to be careful. But I have a walkway down the middle with my cattle panel trellises, beds on the right side, and then a hill that goes down pretty steeply on the left. So again, I'm using, these are daylilies, these are iris. In front of all that is an entire thick row of daylilies to hold that hill. They are serving the purpose of holding the soil here so it doesn't all walk away. This kind of goes straight down, okay? And that's what it is. So I'm gonna, last season we focused on trying to get the daylilies that were in the walkway all dug up, but let's see, I have some little ones popping back up again, but we will plant those on the edge there, the crest, to really hold that hill. Skip the whole bed, let me go back. Oh, here is a rose campion blooming already. This is a beautiful bloom. See, they said the leaves were similar to lamb's ear, but not as pulpy, fleshy, and not as furry, okay? And then they shoot up these gorgeous stems, and this blooms all summer here. Very long blooming season, which I like, compared to the daffodils, which were like 1 month, the irises, which are like 1 or 2 months, and then this is what I have in my beds. So this is, again, the south face up here, west on the side, but they have quite a few trees up here that start shading the very late evening. So on the trellises right now, my intention up here is to plant my largest varieties of tomatoes that produce the largest tomato. I also want flowers, so chicory on the right end, some Jimmy Nardello peppers. All right, I think I've got 3 of those. French marigolds up there in the corner. Started those in winter sowing jugs, but I didn't start them in the winter. All right, they were only in jugs for a month. I planted them out, try to get them going. Some daylilies here on the side to hold the soil. Looks like there's a monkey grass right there in the middle. We'll see how that does. The daylilies will probably eventually choke it out. And I prefer a daylily over the monkey grass, so just personal preference. Plenty of volunteer tomatoes. I'm going to leave them I would love to see what kind of tomato they are, but I didn't label very well. Here I have some Malabar spinach popping up from last year. And again, I paid attention that even though the bed height has dropped, my fingers are barely touching the top of the soil level, I did not fill this in once I saw things popping up. I have been raising the level in areas where I'm planting, but look at this beautiful borage over here. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful, okay? And it came back from last year. So when they come back on their own, they're just so much stronger. Calendula here. Again, these are all things I started from seed inside in the little cell packs, but I've now either up potted them and then brought them out here or just brought them out here, okay? Peppers. So there's candy apple pepper. There is lemon drop. And here's the second one, because I usually plant everything in twos. Candy apple has the second one as well. Garlic. A variety of garlic down the middle. See, this says that it is silver white garlic. Okay, more peppers here. Okay, this is where the Jimmy Nardellos start. One here, one there, one here. Little labels. I had all three in the cup. So again, I tore off the bottom of the cup and just sank it down into the soil to protect it, but then I only have one protected. I have two that just have my little labels, hand labels, and then here are my marigolds I was talking about. I believe that all four beds up here have French dwarf marigolds. The two tomatoes that I chose for this are Brandywine Black and, excuse me, Big Rainbow. All right. The beds are all set up kind of the same. Here was a volunteer borage. Now, it was sunken way down in this corner. I actually dug it up and put soil in the corner to raise it up. And then this is where the main Malabar spinach was planted last year. And look at it all reseeding. Reseeding thickly. I had not planned on keeping it here. It's even in the walkway. So I would like to dig some of that up and move it to my kitchen garden to one of those trellises. But bed set up similarly. Borage, chicory, which will get a beautiful blue flower. Roots can be used for coffee. Here's an example. This is a Marconi red pepper. And this is where I literally take my finger, punch the styrofoam all the way around and pull off the bottom and then plant the rest of this. This gives the pepper or any plant some protection from any critter that might be eating it from within the soil. The others that I've separated out as singles, again, they get no protection. So just trying to increase my odds of having at least one good, very good plant. The two tomatoes I chose for this bed were Abe Lincoln and Pineapple Pole. Okay. Again, every time I replant, I bring the soil level all the way up to the first leaf because tomatoes do best if they are planted deeply. Here's our marigolds in this bed. Here's our garlic of a different variety down the center. There's my calendula flower there. Again, now this was a paper cup, and I kept this up here for you to see. It's not as easy to punch out the bottom as the styrofoam, but nonetheless, here's my pepper with the name California Wonder. I did let those go down in the cup and fill up some higher, and then here's the one that came out. It's got a nice little stem though, so I'm hoping nothing will cutter bugs or cutter worms or whatever they are, and aphids and roly-polies, they're all just after it. I think this is a different variety of tomato coming up from last year, but we'll see. I let it hang in there for a while. Once everything gets big for this year and I see what I've got, I now know I want to go ahead and compost and raise these soil levels in these beds before I close down for the winter instead of waiting until the spring when, again, I don't want to do that. So here's let's see, this would be the third bed over here. These are some second-year onions. We know, again, because look at that. This paper is just getting ready to pop off, and those seeds are trying to come out. So beautiful. So beautiful. Come around to this side of that. Can you see that? You may also notice these bags by every bed. again, I've had some significant health issues, and so my sons, I buy the bags of compost, pay for them online, they go get them, and they put one by each bed for me. When I need them replaced, they'll get them replaced. Tomatoes in this bag are Dr. Witch's, yellow, I believe. And it says Mortgage Lifter. Yes, Mortgage Lifter there. More peppers, pepperoncini. What have we got here? Petite Blend. Love those little lunchbox peppers. And over here, what are these? Golden Marconi Sweet. Golden Marconi. Okay, the others were like giant red or something. And in the corner here, I moved. This does not look like borage. This is fuzzy like lamb's ear, sorry, but I thought I was moving a borage. This is not fuzzy. Interesting. We'll see how this turns out. Chicory. On all these trellises, you've seen the peas. They did not do very well this year, but they're coming up the trellis. I have not gotten any peas as far as eating this year, but I wrap them around the trellis and let them keep going. This one seems to be the best shape as far as peas go. And this is the bed where the single Jerusalem artichoke last year dug it up and moved it, single. And when I say there are literally hundreds, I pulled out, I know 100 or 200 to just clean up this end of the bed. And yet the whole bed was starting to look like this, just thick with Jerusalem artichokes, and I will move those around. Pulled out enough to get my same setup. Here's Calendula, here's some marigolds, here's pepperoncinis, and then we've already talked about everything else. There was also a garlic down the middle of this bit that has not done well. I have one right there, and I'm wondering if maybe under the soil the Jerusalem artichokes were negative for that. I'm not sure. All right, fourth bed here, same setup. Here's a chicory. I do not have a borage or another plant up here right now. This is giant Marconi pepper, it says. Again, an example where the bottom was torn up. Tam jalapeno peppers and a couple of cayennes over here as well. The tomatoes in this bed are beefsteak and Kellogg's breakfast right there. Peas. Here's finally a flower on this pea, kind of pretty. Another flower getting started there. These, I do remember in this bed, were Dollar Tree seeds because I wondered would they be as good, and clearly they are. Okay, this calendula is actually flowering on the wrong side to see that flower, aren't I? So it is starting to flower, very pretty. Should come back every year and reseed. So again, this is where I moved the single Jerusalem artichoke to the ground last year. Not sure I'll keep it there, but the ground does seem to be containing it a whole lot better than the frothiness of the raised bed. And then this hill, I moved from these beds last year. I had asparagus, and I moved it down this hill to hopefully get an in-ground asparagus bed started. And then here's the other side of the hill. While I can hold on to this trellis, let me give you a view from this side. Okay, so from this side, you see there's my row of daylilies. This hill was very weedy. Got a couple of good rains, made it soft enough to get it mostly weeded. I see we got some at the end down there we need to do again. But my intention is to thin out the strawberries and let it fill in this hill space as a ground cover. Okay, my intention on this side of this trellis is to plant my loofah gourd. My cups fell over because of the hose, I'm sure. I'll move it this way. And I have 5 that are living. I don't want 5, but I also had very poor luck last year with getting them to survive after I got them in the ground. So I'm going to plant all 5, hoping for one. I need to move that liriope out of the way. Get this daylily out of the walkway. There's plenty I need to do. I believe on this trellis, my intention is a tromboncino squash on the right side. Again, the left sides are all my largest varieties of tomatoes, 2 on each one. On this trellis, I've got some black-eyed Susans that come back every year, so I do not want to disturb those. Might take them and try to spread them if they'll do well for me. And then I have purchased a hardy kiwi. So I'm going to get it untied and unloosed off of its stick at some point and try to train it for the trellis and see if it'll do well here. Got some coffee in the area. So again, I'll leave stuff laying around. This is the Pool Hill Garden. Very peaceful in the morning times over here, and I like to be in this area. Okay, canna lilies at the bottom of the hill, trying to again keep everything from washing away. But this gap between all my daylilies and irises, the gap between that and the canna lilies. So here we've got irises, here we've got daylilies, in this triangular gap. I'm going to try to get that weeded again very well, fill it in with strawberries or something. I hate the little, got several sticker vines. Got to have gloves to pull those out, and I definitely want to get rid of all that. And you can see how the roots of the daylilies are just holding in the soil on this hill, and I appreciate that. Okay. This is my working area. These are all, look at that, peppers that I tried to overwinter. And please don't view all of this as failure, because it was a learning opportunity. I truly believe the reason I did not have more success was completely my fault. I only watered once a month, had them inside. Ones that had larger mass or a better bottom tray, look, they lived just fine. This one breaks my heart. All of my videos up to this point, I did my intros, beginnings and ends sitting in front of this. It was beautiful. I let it dry out and die in the last month inside. Crazy. So this is operator error. This is not method. I clearly now know peppers will overwinter if you treat them right. Okay. Here are the, like, this is as thick as I can get it. These are all those Jerusalem artichokes I pulled up. I put in a bucket of water. My intention is to plant it into some of that mulch that's on the very front closer to the highway, because I would rather look at that than grass. Here's my lemongrass I tried to overwinter. That was successful. I left half of it in the ground up there, which you saw was not successful, even though I mulched it very high. And then this I brought in and treated it poorly, and it still survived. Ooh, things that survived me. This is my basil tower. These are the ones that I took out of 6 cells and planted a different variety in each of these 3 little stackables from Walmart. No, from Dollar Tree. And my intention is to get them planted out. These are all different varieties, a different variety in each pocket there. So on the left, you've got basil, mammoth basil. Over here, you've got sweet basil. Over here, you've got lemon basil from a different supplier, more than one. And then in this tower is little singles that survived, okay? So they're all different things, and we'll be planting those out. These are my sweet potato slips that still have not been planted. These are some other things I've up potted and not. So this is what I come out in the morning. These are my choices. Where am I going to put you? Look, all this toothache plant, still a lot of it. All the feverfew, still a lot. German chamomile, a couple more, 2 more chicories here. So I've got plenty. I putter around. I did open my jugs, and oh my gosh, I'm just so pleased. This is so much easier than 6 cell packs. Because you dump them in, you tape them up, and I can't call this winter sowing because it was not the winter. It was basically the month of April, okay? The older the seed in marigolds, the less germination it got. The newer the seed, the better germination. So these are all still marigolds I've not planted out yet. You saw the ones I have. Oh my gosh, Rose Campion. Who knew? They're so little. I need to separate these out before they choke themselves up. Foxglove. What's this say? Oh, Texas red hibiscus, Nigella in a mist, stock here, Alyssum, carpet of snow. Those are white, I think. Alyssum gold dust, older seed. I've got some more ginger here, nubbing. Look at that, looks great. This is from Aldi. I picked it up at Aldi to see if that would be good. Swamp milkweed, Cosmos, beautiful. Several cilantro. I just could not get cilantro to do in the seed packs. So this said coriander cilantro. This said it's a free seed pack from Greenstock. This was Slow Bolt cilantro. Seed pack said So Easy cilantro, and this seed pack said confetti cilantro. What is this? Got Baptisia over here. And then back here, look at the difference. Dill from the jugs, dills from a 6-pack, then put into the plant out. They're just pitiful. So jugs, I'm jugs all the way. Okay? And that's what we have. Here is my lettuce tower. Goodness, should have showed you before I harvested for dinner last night. This was just beautiful. I spin around and I pick out all the biggest leaves and make the dinner salad, take it inside. And if you have not eaten fresh homegrown lettuce, like, it is so soft. Can you see how thin that is? It just like melts in your mouth. Different varieties for different textures. I love it. Here's my Roselle hibiscus. Have not planted those out yet. I need to. And this is what's left of all my tomatoes. So again, there's a different variety in each. 1 variety, 2 varieties, 3 varieties. So 3 varieties in each container. And these are the stackable containers from Dollar Tree. I love them. I do poke the little holes off the bottom and use them to pot up, so to speak. Some onions that I need to separate out so they can have some growing room. These are all additional Aunt Molly's ground cherries. These are still my original sweet potato slips. All those up there have been repotted and need to go in the ground. These are getting too big and could be taken out. But I had 3 different varieties. One is, I believe these were from the Asian grocery store. No, yes, Asian grocery store. I believe this one was from the Indian grocery store. And this one was from my daughter's countertop. So I want to put those in 3 different beds so I can keep up with really how they do. These are still more peppers I have not planted out yet of all different kinds. And these are eggplants I've not potted out yet. Okay. All right, walking through my mess down here. Something for the grandchildren to play on. Plenty of exercise equipment that I'm supposed to be using. And then this is the north side of my house. So one little bed over here last year had spinach, red Malabar spinach going up this. I had transplanted one, there it is, coming up, I think, elephant ear in the corner, Malabar spinach across the back, which none is coming up because we had to raise this level, right? Like it was sunken down on probably almost a foot. And then I had one Sweet 100 cherry tomato plant in this corner, and it filled up this whole fence on the entire leg. And I did see it coming back actually, but now I don't, because again, we have rehabbed this bed and raised the soil level so much. This bed, my intention here on the right, see, let's look like this. On the right side down here will come out, and okay, here it comes, elephant ears. Look how little. When I tell you, believe me, and I'll be able to show you, those elephant ears grow all the way up to this second banister. They are huge. That's why you'll see a string through here. We have to pull them back to maintain our walkway in the middle. But this being the north side of the house, these daffodils on this side, and the house is doing great, but the daffodils on this side did not bloom very well at all. It does not get enough sun. So my intention is to try to get my sons to help me and dig up these daffodils, get them moved. This is where I had brought all my winter crops, so to speak. And you can see they are doing absolutely beautifully. They are all labeled. These are some kohlrabi here. This is, are these beets? Nope. Okay, these are turnips. We did plant some beets in here. They're not doing well. They're doing okay. Here's some more beets. And here's some more beets. So these are beets. These are turnips. These are kohlrabi. Okay. These are a couple of cabbages. Okay. Very late in the season here. I understand that. And these were different varieties of mustards that obviously I planted way too close together because they're getting huge. So I do want to separate these out, but keep the varieties separated so that when they do go to seed, I'll be harvesting seed that I know what it is. Those are all labeled. I love this one, and I love to use it in my salad mix. It's just so pretty. They're nice and soft and tender, and if you keep them picked even smaller than this, they don't get a bitter flavor. Okay. What is this? A mustard. All right, more mustard. These are some broccolis. Again, we're way late. These are probably going to go to seed, which is okay. I just want to maintain the names of them. A little bit of weeds, but we have been trying to get in here and get it weed. So for example, this huge thing is going to seed. It's been here since last year, but it was not properly labeled. So we're not positive what it is, and it should not taste good right now. But my daughter-in-law came out last week with me out here and plucked off a leaf and tasted it, because that's just what we do. And she said it was still good and she wanted to cook some. So, okay. These are all different varieties of kale down through here, and they are doing well. I just have planted them too close. I want to separate the varieties a little more because the rest of the bed I've not filled in here. So that won't be hard to do. And I even have some Brussels sprouts. Again, these are getting to be way out of season. And I don't care because I'm still learning. Now, we also have a tendency to throw kitchen scraps over the rail. This looks, again, like some kind of squash or melon, and it had to come as a volunteer out of scraps. These are weeds. I have planted down here, these little ones are weeds, but I did put in a couple of chicory plants to start this corner. My vision is maybe to put a rosemary in the corner here because it'll get big and fill in, a couple of chicories, and have it both pretty and functional. The fence here, the actual location of this fence in the winter is the sun line, meaning when I wake up in the morning and the sun comes up, it is directly on this line. The right side has sun, the left side is fully shaded in the winter, okay? As the sun gets higher in the sky, comes around, it gets a little warmer. But this is what I would consider to be my coolest bed, okay? And I did have help getting, my intention is a bed on the outside of the fence as well. Soccer area for the kids to play. Little basketball goal down there, swing set down there. They play out here. I have seeded all this with clover. So, did I mention I hate grass? I'm hoping to eventually get rid of all grass. Got quite a few weeds out here. We did put peas along the fence on the inside. And the intention this year is to use the smaller cherry tomatoes and cucumbers on the outside of this fence. So, we're working at it. And on the end down there is where I showed you from the kitchen garden. That is going to be the future in-ground garden. When you walk on down here. So future in-ground garden on the very end. Here's that yellow Easter rose I was talking about. Okay. And it is the first thing. It's still blooming, but it is the first thing to really bloom beautifully large. So I am going to let it get started again in the front. These two beds I don't have, again, I'm using as a hospital situation, digging up things as I find them and plopping them in. So I've got some iris here, daylilies. I believe these were daffodils, but all this needs to be dug up and moved into an area that I want it. And again, this is a hill. So I'd love to have, as we have some trees trimmed and cleaned up, use like 4 feet level, then a branch, 4 feet, then a pretty significant branch. Hey kitty, do you see that kitty over there? I don't have any kitties, but there are lots of feral cats in our area. We have caught them all. When I say we, I mean Beth and Hannah and Ron and people on the left up there in the commercial buildings. They have trapped them one by one and had them spayed by Animal Allies. So we're trying to be responsible, but we do love them, and they know that I throw out kitchen scraps for them, so they hang out here a lot. Still have my tree mess along the back from Hurricane Helene. Oh, Helene. But it's way at the back. I've got plenty of other stuff to keep me busy. And here you can see the Carolina jasmine along the fence and over the arbor there to our pond, as well as, let's see, forsythia Can't really point it out now because it's not blooming, but it's a beautiful early yellow bloomer too, and is easy to propagate. Got some oak trees I need to get out of here because that's not meant to be. And the mulch is now higher, so I hope it hasn't killed my fig. I was looking at them the other day, and okay, so they do have growth. I see fig leaves down there, but again, plenty of fig leaves up here. Don't need to let that get bad. And then this little peach tree is just huge. Okay, tons and tons and tons. It did not get pruned this year, which is bad. It needs to be pruned. And 3 elderberries I purchased. 1, 2, 3. We put cages around, dug all the way down through the mulch that's too high. And 1 mulberry tree here that we're trying to keep a manageable size, because the huge tree in the front that shades the entire kitchen garden is a mulberry as well. That is it over the top of the house right there. That's a mulberry tree. The upper part of it, love, the animals have a place to feed. Lower part, in fact, I've encouraged my daughter, we need to go and put some tarps down on the ground, because they're just right now starting to really just fall to the ground. So thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the garden tour. I know it gets long, but it's a beautiful thing. This is what I like to do in the morning when I go on my walk. I walk into each garden, do a little bit of weeding, make a plan for what I'd like to do, and go on from there. Spending some outside time with God and nature, and that makes me happiest. I hope you guys have a blessed life every day. Until the next time, love you. Bye.